Good day and God bless. Welcome to the June installment of Breadcrumbs. If you are joining with us for the first time, welcome. If you are a recurring member or viewer, welcome back. And remember to like, and share. Here at Breadcrumbs, we are introducing a new platform and or a new opportunity to expand the platform where we will be requesting from you questions, comments, or thoughts or topics that you want discussed here on Breadcrumbs. We can be found and or reached at breadcrumbstoday@gmail.com. That is breadcrumbstoday@gmail.com. And I am looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Today's breadcrumb is entitled A Word for the Weary. My brothers and my sisters, during this time, we must posture ourselves to recognize a few things. We must acknowledge the stress in multiple areas of our life. We must admit the places where we've become uninterested and or lacking motivation. And we must see slow responses to things that are quickly causing changes in and around us. We also must deal with the impaired judgments and or the bad decisions. Because if the truth be told, the last several months have taken a toll and or transition on us all. I bring these things to your attention because these things are what cause weariness. Weariness, biblically defined, is translated as the reluctance to see and or experience any more of something. It is when you become exhausted in your strength, you lose your ability to endure, and you lack vigor and or vitality. I draw these things to your attention because weariness that goes undealt with is known as a risk factor, and mishaps and mischances are caused when we neglect the fact that we are actually weary. As the Word of God teaches us, what we go through is common to man. You are not alone. Elijah was discouraged, weary, and afraid after winning one of the biggest victories of his life. Jonah was weary in God using him to bless people he felt like didn't deserve it. Moses was even weary trying to lead a disgruntled people to the promised land. Weariness is real, and because it is real, it can be handled and managed. I know this time has added pressure to the point where you feel overwhelmed only to be pushed to a place of weariness, debilitated, exasperated, and downright exhausted. But I have good news for you, and that is there is a word for the weary. The Word of God is full of truths we can apply to the place called weary, but I just want to expound on one that will hopefully help encourage you and strengthen your heart. This truth can be found in Psalms 27, 13, and 14, where David declares, I would have fainted had I not believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. One of the things that David teaches us is don't let weariness keep you from walking forward. David says, what helped me in my process in the moments that I got weary is I remembered what God said. Sometimes you just got to remember what God said. And when you remember what God said, you have the strength to keep moving forward. Not only did he remember what God said, but the Word of God says that he said, had I not believed, he not just remembered what God said, but he believed what God said. Because sometimes weariness can cause doubt. And I don't know about you, but I am a believer. I believe God will turn it around. I believe God will fix it. I will believe God to heal, save, and deliver. I believe God to do the miraculous thing. I believe God to step into the natural and do a supernatural thing. I am a believer. I've seen God do a lot of things, but I have never seen him fail. I believe God. I believe God will turn it. I believe God will work it out. I believe God will fix things in our favor. And all you've got to do is continue to remember what God said, and not just remember, but believe. It is belief that strengthens the weary heart, because when you believe God in the capacity to see him do something in your life. You are going to see what God said. This season is not set up for you to fall just before you get to the finish line. This season is not set up for you to just hear about it and see about it and never see the manifestation, but you can guarantee that you will see what God says. Not only does David teach us that you got to you can't let weariness keep you from walking forward, but David also teaches us that you have more power than you're actually using. David says there was a possibility that I could have fainted. It could have happened, but I found strength somewhere. And sometimes what we really need to realize and remember is we got more strength than we utilizing. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty. God has given us strength and tools to actually get to and get through what we're actually experiencing. Not only does David teach us that, but David goes on to say something awesome, and that is wait for and confidently expect God. He says, I know that things aren't always going to plan out the way you want them to, and deadlines come and things happen, but wait on God because he surely will show up. He says, wait and confidently expect him. He says, wait and trust God. And then he says, be strong and let your heart take courage, because sometimes you've got to place something in your heart that's not always going to be in your head. See, your thoughts will tell you one thing, but you've got to remember what God said, and that's got to be in your heart. He says, yes, wait patiently and confidently expect God. He says, don't let weariness take you away from expectation. That what will give you the strength in the moments and in these times is your ability to expect God to do just what he said. It is expectation that will push you forward. It is the expectation that will strengthen you. And the last thing that David teaches us, that not only does weariness keep us from moving forward, but that there's often strength in the wait. That sometimes God pushes us to a place where he causes us to slow down, because sometimes we are moving just too fast for what God is trying to do in our lives. You can't expect something to just pop out overnight. You can't expect a seed to bring forth fruit just in the matter of time, because some things take time, and you've got to be willing to go through the process to get what God said. But even in going through the process, you've got to do that at a steady pace. Sometimes we are weary, but we have to question what is causing us to be weary. Weariness is often attached to something that we have been chasing after, that we feel in our minds we haven't accomplished and or reached the goal to. My brothers and my sisters, be encouraged that there is strength in knowing that God is going to bring to pass just what he said. Don't faint and don't lose heart. The word of God teaches us to come unto me all who are labored and heavy laden, for I will give you rest. God says, if you can just make it to me, I got you. If you can just get to where I am, I will strengthen your heart. But be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. There is strength for the weary. As always, I'm so grateful that you share this time with me. Remember to continue to like, and share. And remember, there is always a seat for you at our Father's table here at Breadcrumbs. Next installment will happen on July the 20th, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And remember, you have as much time as God has given you to accomplish this. Maximize your existence.